It's a horrible thing to do. We went and killed 1 million Iraqis. And we're the good guys. We stole their oil. And we're the good guys. We want $1 trillion of mineral reserves, lithium, from Afghanistan. And we're the good guys. How are we the good guys? I'm not saying there are not bad people who've done bad things in some of those countries. They are bad, very bad. But how are we the good guys? When our intentions of going in, we're telling our soldiers and their families that you're saving people. And in reality, what we're doing is we're destroying entire nations. That's the problem. And this is why in Islam, Allah says that He will judge you, your actions, by your intentions. So if you go into a foreign land to liberate the people, truly liberate the people, and create peace, to take away mischief, then it's a noble action. And the same action, if you go to have those oil lines connected from Russia, right, down to the sea, so you can fill your ships with oil and steal the mineral resources of Afghanistan, then the same action of war becomes an evil action. We will judge you by your intention. Your actions will be judged by your intentions. And unfortunately, our intentions in the West, in particular America and Britain, our country here, have not been noble intentions.
Oh no, right.
We've told the people that we're there to cause peace. And what does Allah say? That they tell the people that we are the peace lovers, peacemakers, yet they are the corrupters. They are the evildoers. Allah says this in the Quran, that the people, they preach that we only want to make peace, but they're the real corruptors.
I'm glad I went into Iraq on the line.
Absolutely.
But the people of Afghanistan, particularly the women, seem terrified.
What we're seeing in Afghanistan is two things. We're seeing some people possibly who are genuinely scared of what the Taliban were 20 years ago and possibly might be today. And then there's an awful lot of people who are going to use this upheaval to try to find their way into the West, because that's what they always wanted to do. So when everyone realizes that there's a train or a plane coming to the West, they've been trying to come in for the last 20, 30 years. Now's your opportunity. Jump on there as much as you can. Get on there as fast as you can to get into the West. So there's two types of people. I don't deny that the Taliban historically have been accused of some horrible things. As I said to you, my first cousin was killed, and it was suspected to be a Taliban bombing, right? So I don't justify anybody. But if you show me the evidence that they definitely did it, I condemn them. But if you don't have the evidence, I'm not going to hear what people are saying to me in the West about the brown skin in the East, or the brown skin in Africa, that these people are bad because of X, Y, Z, because I know throughout history they've proven themselves that they'll say whatever it takes to get whatever they want. You know, look at Africa, the state of Africa. They tell you there was no civilization in Africa, these were savages. You look at the history, they had immense amount of historical, educational wealth in Africa. But they destroyed it. Why did they destroy it? Why did they go into these lands accusing them of savagery? Because they wanted their resources. They took their resources, they took their people. It's a horrible world we live in at the moment, where the ones who claim the peace are actually the corruptors. And many times, you know, I think it was Chomsky who said that, you know, the real corruptors or the real terrorists or the killers, the media will have you believe that they're the liberators, and the ones that are being savaged, the ones that are being killed, become the bad people, basically. It's the same thing. Look, if we look at the old cowboy and western cowboy movies in America, what do we see? The red Indian, you know, woo, he's shooting arrows at a white man, and the white man is defending himself, you know, because, oh, these savages, they want to kill us. What they don't show you is that millions of indigenous Indians were killed, slaughtered. They were getting 10 cents for every scalp the government were paying 10 cents for every scalp. So people went out and they hunted the indigenous population. Australia, my friend, up to the 50s, abo hunts. Men on jeeps with the big spotlights hunting the Aborigine for sport.
It's a long bow to draw.
It happened. I know. I don't blame the people today. I wouldn't blame this brother. Why? He's got nothing to do with what the people did before. You know, I wouldn't. I don't believe that you should blame people's race because some people, possibly their forefathers or possibly even their relatives, or it's got nothing to do with them. You know, this brother might be as against what they did as I would be against it. So in Islam, we don't have this original sin where you share the sin of your father. You're accountable for what you do. They're accountable for what they do. But unfortunately, we have this Eurocentric, rewriting of history, where we, the West, we're the good guys. We're peace lovers. And these were all savages. We had to go and control the savages. And that's not what happened. That's the reality,
Is there any other question?
I like the idea of where you spoke about Allah will judge you by your intent.
Yeah.
Not so much by actually what happens, the outcome, but
that's right.
Your intent behind it. So I feel encouraged to share my intent as someone that's curious about Islam. Very, very curious. As a Westerner, there's so much fear that's laid upon Islam. There's layers and layers of fear, right? And that's natural, and I've got to dissolve that fear. So I come here with the intent to understand and nothing more, not to probe.
Brother, I want to see your video with Hamza.
Yeah.
And I said, if this brother ever comes to speak, I'd love to have a conversation with him.
Abbas, was it?
Abbas, yeah.
Ben.
So this meeting is something that I already desired.
Okay.
Right, because I saw you as a very open-minded, intelligent individual, and if I'm honest, I love to engage with people like that because it's a more meaningful discussion.
I agree.
So you don't have to explain to me that you're coming from a good place. I already believe that about you.
Nice.
So now, what's your question?
Maybe you manifested it.
So what's your question?
I've got many questions, but one of them for me is I feel genuinely free. Yeah, and I get the feeling that people in Islam aren't free. Right, you're confined by the bounds of the Quran. You're confined by a fear and a love of your Creator.
Yes.
And you're confined by people in Islam. They call themselves Muslims that take the religion that you love so dearly to the extremes. So you have so much that confines you and restricts your freedom in Islam. Why would you choose to be restricted?
Allah explains this very beautifully. If you can find the ayah for me in the Quran about they shackle themselves, they enslave themselves to many masters. If you can get the ayah up for me. Allah explains this phenomena in the Quran. And Allah explains the analogy or the explanation as to, would you rather be shackled and enslaved to many masters, or the one that created you, the one and only that created you? Because human beings have a perception of freedom when in reality you would not have wore that hat unless it was fashionable. If everyone mocked you for wearing the hat because it was something out of a top hat, let's say in the 18th century or 17th century with your cane, right? And your top hat, you would not have worn it. Why? Because as much as you don't care about what people think, you do.
Absolutely, all humans.
We all do. So we are shackled to a multitude of masters, whether we know it or we don't. Even our perception of freedom in reality is that we are shackled to all those masters. Because we care about what people think, we care about what we say, how people perceive us, okay? And so what Allah says is, don't shackle you to the opinions of these people, telling you what's right and wrong, what's lawful and unlawful, what's just and unjust, what's fair and unfair, what is good and bad. Shackle yourself to me, because I created you and I know you better than all of those people know you. And I will guide you to the truth better than all of those people will guide you. The Quran is very explicit. Allah knows the nature of man. He thinks he's free. Have you got the verse there?
Yeah, hold on.
I haven't got my glasses, so you'll have to read it. What chapter, what verse?
camera.
Can I read it?
I think it's this one.
This one here?
That's for parable.
I don't know, can you read it?
Just about. So this is chapter 39, verse 30, I believe. Is that right?
So 39, 29.
29, okay. In the clear Quran, this is the translator, okay? Allah sets forth the parable of a slave owned by several quarrelsome masters, okay? And a slave owned by only one master. Are they equal in condition? Praise be to Allah. In fact, most of them do not know.
Beautiful parable. It's that time again, guys. Tune in for the next conversation and wait for the main video. Look at the beautiful cameras that we've got. You don't want to watch it on this. Assalamu alaikum.